Hey guys, hey fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, hey NASA class. Welcome to your history class. And you're like, Jessica, we have never in our lives had a history class with you. ¿Qué está pasando? What is history class? Okay, well, history class, you guys, is where we're going to learn different things that have happened in the world, in the pasado, in the past. And it's going to be super, super cool. You think you haven't had history class with me before, but Bible is like a history class, okay? So we're going to be learning, guys, this year about all different civilizations from all around the world that established the world to be like what it is today, okay? What do you mean civilization? So what it says on the top there, it says ancient civilization. Say that with me. Ancient civilizations. Ancient means something that came from way long ago, okay? Very, very old. Ancianos, right? Very old. Civilizations are cultures and people groups and different areas of the world that have their own system of writing, their own language, their own gobierno, government, their foods that they eat, their clothing, their education, etc. Okay, so we're going to be talking about all different ancient civilizations. Okay, what do you need for this class then? This is where you're going to be using your ancient civilization project. Okay, I colored mine. I bet you guys will do a better job. I want to see. Send me pictures of a better job, okay? But I colored mine. Guys, keep this safe. You need it at least for the first parcial, but you're going to need it even longer. I hope we can use these when you come back in presencial, whenever that is, okay? So I gave you a big plastic bag. Please guardar your project in the plastic bag every time you're not using it, because if not, it could fall apart. And every week I'm going to give you new things for your pockets. So this week you have stuff in your What is History pocket. You're going to have a timeline that you're going to make. You're going to have your When Did It Happen envelopes that you're going to make. Your What is History that you're going to make. Your map that you're going to make, that you're going to color, okay? And your reading that we're going to read together today, okay? So you need all of that in the first pocket, and you need to keep everything safe, okay? So that we can find out what is history. Oh, guys, for real, I am like excited for this class, okay? So let's get started. Okay, I'm just here for another welcome because I just want to show you the world. Guys, what are the 7 continents in the world? Let's name them. Let's try to name them. Try to name as many as you can right now, and then I'm going to tell you what they are. Okay, we've got North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, and there's one that's not really on this map, Antarctica, okay, where nobody lives because it's too what? Cold. Can people go there? Yes, they can. Scientists go there all the time. Scientists are there right now doing a lot of experiments, but they don't live there because it's too cold. Okay, can you name any of the things that you see on this map right now? There's the Statue of Liberty. Ooh, there you go, the Statue of Liberty up in North America. That looks like something from Machu Picchu, creo yo, in South America. You got the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italia, the building that goes like this. You have the Egyptian pyramids from Egypt and Africa. You've got the Eiffel Tower. Don't really know why it's over there because maybe that's not the Eiffel Tower. It looks like the Eiffel Tower, but that is not where France is. France is all the way over there by the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And then you've got a Chinese temple, okay? So There are so many different things we're going to be learning in this class. It's going to be so much fun. History class is a lot like geography, you guys, right? With the banderas of the different países and the different things that have happened all around the world in the past. Okay, today we're going to be learning 4 things. That's why you see the 1, 2, 3, 4 around your thing. The first thing we're going to be learning is B, C, and A, D. What is that, Miss Shaska? Well, that's why I'm going to teach it to you, because you're not supposed to know yet. But now you are going to know, okay? Today is the day that you find out what is B, C, and A, D. And what does that have to do with history? Okay, this is cool and super exciting, okay? Did you guys know that the dates that we use today, the fechas, like for instance, that this year is 2020, did you know that there are initials of letters BC and AD that are connected to the fechas, the dates, the años, the years in history that all center around Jesus Christ? Mrs. Scott, what do you mean by all that? Okay, that's what I mean. Look. For the things that happened before Jesus Christ was born, see Jesus Christ at the center? All the years before Jesus Christ was born is called BC. Okay, so if you hear, the world was created in 4000 BC. That means that the world was created 4,000 years before Christ, antes de Cristo, okay? If you hear that something happened in 1 BC, that means that it happened 1 year before Christ. Now, it's not 100% like exactitud, but más o menos, that is what it means, okay? If you hear that something happened, look, right, in 100 BC, it was 100 years before la vida de Cristo aquí en la tierra, okay? You can look down here at the timeline as well to know what I'm talking about. There is no year 0 though. So it goes from 1 BC, 1 year antes, 1 AD, 1 year después. Anything that happened after that time, okay, after más o menos where the birth of Christ was, is called AD. It does not mean after anything. It means Anno Domini, okay, in Latin. Remember, you heard about Latin, and you're going to hear about Latin in Bible class. For a long time, the Bible was only written in Latin. Well, Latin is Anno Domini, and that means in the year of our Lord. Significa que después de ese año, que significa el nacimiento de Jesucristo más o menos, because it's a little bit off, everything after that is called AD. So look right here. The year we're in is actually AD 2020. So it's Anno Domini 2020, meaning after the year of our Lord. After the year of our Lord, basically. Okay, so you're going to see that when you read a lot of history. And we haven't read a lot of history yet. And maybe you won't even see it this year because sometimes it's in like complex history books. But BC means things that happened before Christ. And AD means the things that happened after. But AD means Anno Domini. Okay, so repeat that after me. BC means before Christ. AD means Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. Okay, we are in AD 2020. But things might have happened 100 BC, 1000 BC, and that was before Christ. Sometimes you see B and E. Unfortunately, lastimosamente, people use these when they don't want to use BC and AD because they don't want to recognize Jesus Christ in history, okay? But sometimes you'll see BC for BC and CE for AD, just in case you want to know what that means. So, again, 400 BC means 400 years before Christ. AD 2020 means 2020 years after the year of Christ, okay, when he was living here on the earth. Okay, cool, right? Okay, now that you know what BC and AD is, which lays the foundation of being able to understand history, now let's start to talk about the different civilizations. Okay, you guys, in order to start talking about ancient civilizations, we need to talk about where history began, donde empezó, right? What is history? A lot of people say history is his story, okay? Su historia. ¿La historia de quién? De Dios. Because history starts at creation in the Garden of Eden. Because that's when the world began, okay? So history is the study of everything that's happened from the Garden of Eden until now, okay? So that means that history started around here, más o menos, because that's where we believe that the Garden of Eden was and where the Noah's Ark was and everything. So then the question is, right? How did the world begin here, but we live all the way over here? Right? That's a good question, don't you think? That's where the civilizations come from. Remember that all the people had the authority and the job from God to do what? Be fruitful and multiply. That means llenar the tierra. And God said multiply and make the world lleno de people, right? Okay, but something happened. Remember the Tower of Babel? All the people that were in the world, which wasn't very many compared to how many people we have now, right? Were together in the world, and they decided that because they thought they were so poderoso, so powerful, that they would get together, and instead of everybody going around the world, people over here and people over here and people over here, they would all come together to form a very powerful group. They would build a building so high that they said it could reach heaven, and that they would be powerful like God because they could make a building that high to reach heaven. Well, there's a problem. Why were they saying that? What did they have in their heart? Orgullo, pride in their heart to say, we can be as powerful as God because we can make a building now that reaches to the heaven, to reach where God is, right? So God said, no, that's not going to happen because I didn't create these people to be orgullosos thinking that they could be as powerful as me. I created them to llenar the mundo so he could have millions and billions of hijos that get to enjoy his creation and worship him, right? So what did he do? When they were working on the building, God sent confusion to them, confusión, because he changed the idiomas. At the beginning, they were all speaking the same idioma. No es como nosotros que yo hablo inglés y ustedes hablan español y a veces ustedes dicen que yo no entiendo nada que está diciendo ella, right? Well, they all spoke the same language until God sent different languages. So imagínense que one day they're working on the building that's getting higher and higher and higher and higher, right? And then you turn to your compañero and you say, hey, pass me that rock. Hey, pass me those materials. And he looks at you and he's like, what did you say? And when he says, what did you say? You don't understand him. Because now you guys are speaking different idiomas. Ay, 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 qué confusión. Entonces, ¿qué pasó? They looked at each other and they realized that there was no way they could all stay together now that they all spoke different idiomas and didn't understand each other. So what happened? They went away from each other and they started spread around the world, right? One went over here and one went over here and this family went over here and they took their language over here, right? And they started making the first civilizations. Where was the first civilization? The first, what we would call established civilization that we know about in history, because we have proof that it existed. Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia was in a place what they call the Fertile Crescent, okay, which was around here. Fertile means that things grow very well there, that the soil, the suelo, the tierra is very saludable there, and that things grow easy there. And why would that be important for a civilization, which means a group of people that want to live with the recursos that they have? Why do you think that's important? Because they need to eat food, right? And so the plants growing well gives them food from the plants and food to the animals who get to eat good so that they can kill the animals and eat them. Okay, and we're going to talk about how it was so fertile. It was such good ground. So say that word with me, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia. Okay, Mesopotamia had really famous buildings called ziggurats, but we're going to talk about those some other time. Another ancient civilization that popped up in the world is Egypt. Egypt was super, super, super powerful because they had their pyramids and they were very, very rich and very, very powerful. They were in Africa, like right here. Greece was another very, very powerful empire, you guys. Remember, well, I don't know if you've seen it in Bible class or not yet. No, yes, maybe, I'm not sure. But I'll talk to you about Greece. At one time, well, the New Testament was written in Greek, okay? And at one time, most of the world knew the Greek language. Greece is behind Mesopotamia right there, okay, behind the word Mesopotamia. But at one time, the Empire of Greece was huge. It was huge. It was one of the biggest empires in the world. So everybody knew that language. And God used that because he had the Bible written in Greek. The New Testament first and the Old Testament was translated in Greek, which meant a lot of people at that time could read the Bible because they knew that language. Rome was a huge empire, civilization as well, humongous. That is when Jesus lived on the earth, was during the Roman Empire. And by the way, the Roman Empire wasn't very nice to Christians. Well, you saw what they did to Jesus, but they did a lot of bad things to Christians. China was a huge civilization and still is a huge, powerful civilization, and they made the Great Wall that we'll learn about. And the last one that we're going to learn about are the Aztecs, okay? Unfortunately, we're not going to learn about the Mayans this time, which would be really cool for you guys, okay, because that's where your history is involved. But over here is China, okay, you know, and over in America were the Aztecs, and we're going to learn all about that in our super cool ancient civilization project. But this week and next week, we're really focused on what is history. Okay, So now we're going to talk about what did those civilizations have in common. Even though they were in different parts of the world and at different times in the world, like por ejemplo, the civilization, and you're going to learn this in your timeline, but the civilization of the Mesopotamians was like 5,000 years ago. The civilization of ancient Egypt was 4,000 years ago. The civilization of Greece, 3,000 years ago. Rome, 2,000 years ago, which means what? Jesus Christ lived on the earth 2,000 years ago. That's why we're in 2020 years after Christ, right? 1,000 years ago was China's ancient civilization, and 500 years ago, about 500 years ago, the Aztecs built their civilization. So what do these guys have in common? Okay, are you starting to recognize these pictures yet? Which one is Greece? Which one is this one? Mesopotamia. Which one is this one? Aztecs. Which one is this one? Rome. This one? China. Egypt. Okay, what did these civilizations have in common? Look at number one. They were built near rivers or oceans. Guys, most people built ancient civilizations near rivers or oceans, okay? Near the rios or the océanos. Porque these water sources provided food and transportation and made trade with other societies more accessible. So did you hear that? One, it gave you food, porque si la civilización está cerca de un río o un océano, esa tierra iba a agarrar mucha agua, right? Okay, so the water would go into the raíces, into the roots, and it would grow good plants. Also, though, it was used for transportation, okay? So that they could get from one part of the civilization to another and get from one civilization to another civilization to intercambiar their things, okay? To trade. Intercambio was when they would take, like, let's say they had a cow and they changed it for another type of food, okay? Or look, I have grano and I need your cow, right? And they would change food for food or different things for different resources because they didn't have like monedas then, okay? They didn't use monedas for a long time. They used intercambiar to get things. So today, like if we go to Alden's and we want food, we have to pay with money. When they would go to different civilizations or different tribus or different parts of the civilization, they would use things to trade for other things, intercambiar. So they built their civilizations near rivers or oceans. Look at number two. The other thing they had in common was that they needed food and clothing, ropa, right, and houses. The basic needs of food, shelter, which is refugio, protección, and clothing, ropa, were super necesario, you guys, super important and necessary for a sociedad, a civilization to work. They had to have a stable food supply, meaning that they had to have food coming all the time from the animals and the plants. So all these civilizations built an irrigation system. That is a system of plants where the plants are watered correctly. So they would use the rio or the océano, and they would make a system to where the plants would get the water that they needed to grow super big and be used to eat and used for the animals. Look at number three. These civilizations also had a specialization of labor. Say that one with me. Specialization of labor. ¿Qué significa eso? Labor is labor, trabajo. And specialization means that it was único. Most people in the civilization were granjeros, farmers, right? Okay. Others were more sophisticated, like people that, meaning more sophisticated, meaning like over time, they had other jobs, because being a granjero is very sophisticated, by the way, okay? But after a while, not all of the people could be granjeros, because now they were going to make buildings, so they needed people to make the edificios. They were going to make temples, so they need people to make the temples. They needed people to make different inventions. So after a while, not everybody was granjeros, but it all started that way. Look at number 4. It says in number 4 that they all had a system of government, gobierno. Roatan has a system of government. We have our governor, we have our alcalde, the mayor, we have a president, right? Honduras has his president. We have the Muni is part of the government. And all of these civilizations also had a government. Leaders who dirige the people so that the society runs correctly. Number 5, all the civilizations had social levels. Each civilization had social niveles. Usually there are 3 social levels in a society. At the top are your rulers, your gobiernos, your reyes, your kings, your sacerdotes, okay, the religious leaders and the other leaders. The second level was your workers, your granjeros, your trabajadores, your mercantes, the comerciantes, the people that sell things, and the people that made inventions. And at the bottom level were the esclavos. Do we have that today? No, we don't have esclavos, okay? Slaves in English. Those were usually people that were capturados. They were taken from another land, okay, in captivity, sorry. They were taken from another land, like during a batalla, during a guerra, during some kind of lucha, and then brought back to the civilization to work for them as slaves. Number 6, all of these civilizations had a developed culture. What does that mean? What's a cultura? That means that they had arte, arquitectura, música, and other forms of entertainment. Okay, look at all these buildings, you guys. This is arquitectura. The Mesopotamians had their ziggurats. The Egyptians had their pyramids. The Greeks had temples. The Aztecs had their temples. The Chinese had their walls to protect them, and Rome had their Colosseum, which they used for different forms of entertainment, even some very, very bad ones when they were treating the Christians incorrectly. But they all had their art, estatuas, different paintings, their arquitectura, their architecture, the different buildings. They had music and different things like that. Like, did you know that in the Colosseum, this thing was so big, but they built it to where even the people in the highest part, where you had to go up like thousands of gradas, could still hear everything that was happening at the bottom, because they made the building very sophisticated. And number 7, they all had their own system of writing, okay? You've seen the Egyptian writing, the hieroglyphics, the drawings on the walls. Not everyone writes like us with our letters A, B, C, D. No, they had their own system of writing and their religion, okay? So we're going to learn about all different things like that. It was very sad that not all the civilizations in the world, not many of the civilizations in the world, have the real God as their God. They made false gods, like we learned about with different civilizations in the Bible. And we're going to learn about different things this year as well. If any of you guys have gone to Maya Key, you guys know that the Mayans did not worship the real God. And it's super sad that they did not learn who God really was. And God says that God put it in creation for them to learn who he was, but they didn't want to. They wanted to invent their own God, okay? So they had a different form of religion as well. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now the last thing we're going to talk about today. What is history? This is where we're going to start to read, guys, the things that I gave you. So get out your packet. Okay, let's start reading. What is history? Read it along with me. Put your finger on this part. History is, okay? You're going to see all this stuff on your timeline again, and I've talked to you about it already. So, what is history? You can read it out loud with me if you want, or even stop it and read it first, okay? Because you guys know how to read very, very well. Look what it says. History is the study of the past. What is past in Spanish? Pasado. We study history to learn about the people who lived long ago. We learn about the things that happened to them. We learn about inventions they made. The invention of the computer, the invention of the light bulb, the invention of water systems, right? We study history to see that people who lived long ago were like us. We also learn that they were very different from us in other ways. So in some things they're the same and in some things they're different. Okay, let's keep going. So look what it says. History is the study of the past. His story. La historia de Dios. In this page, we're going to learn the meaning of 3 very important words. History was on the first page, the study of the past. Ancient means very, very old, okay? When we're talking about history. Now, somebody says that somebody's like anciano. Yes, it means they're old, but you don't need to say, I know that word means you're very, very old. Okay, no, you don't need to say that to them. That would kind of make them feel bad sometimes. Civilization means a large group of people living and working together in a well-organized way, okay? And we're going to talk about what that means. And then basic needs, okay, your necesidades básicas are food, shelter is refugio, and clothing, ropa. Okay, let's read it. Put your finger on ancient history. Ancient history is the study of long, long ago. The word ancient means very, very old. Thousands of years ago, people developed new civilizations. A civilization is a large group of people living and working together in a well-organized way. Ancient civilizations were built in many places, such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Italy, China, and Mexico. Guys, I keep saying the Aztecs are in South America. Stop listening to me. The Aztecs are from Mexico, okay? And Mexico is not in South America, so don't listen to me. Take it out of your mind. Everybody take it out of your mind. Quita esa idea de su mente y no sé qué está pasando con esa. The Aztecs are from Mexico, which is in North America, like we are in. Ay, puchica. Perdón. Okay, so where are the Aztecs from? Mexico. Good job. Where's Mexico from? North America. Oh, good job. Okay, let's keep reading. All of these, put your finger on all of these civilizations had to have the same things. People lived near rivers or oceans. The people had basic needs. The basic needs were food, shelter, and clothing. The people had to grow their own food. They built houses using materials that were around them. They wore clothes made from the plants and the animals. So they made ropa from plants and animals that were in the area. Okay, let's keep reading. Okay, keep reading. Every civilization had jobs for the people. Ooh, very good. Remember, specialization of labor. They had to have laws, leyes from their gobierno. They all had leaders. They had beautiful art and music. Remember the culture? Every one of them had their own kind of religion. Unfortunately, not all of them believe in the real God. The people developed their own kind of writing, and they had people who invented new things. Ancient civilizations grew and changed. Thousands of years passed. They left behind clues, pistas of this past. scientists called archaeologists, sometimes the Spanish gets in my head, archaeologists dig up everyday objects and treasures. Okay, you guys see where the archaeologists go out and they dig things up out of the deserts, and then they find things that represent the civilizations from thousands of years ago. They figure out some of their writing. We learn that people who lived long, long ago were like us in many ways. Ooh, it'll be fun to find out. Okay, guys, that's it for today. So, what have we learned? BC, before Christ. AD, Anno Domini, meaning in the year of our Lord, right? We learned that history started in creation. We learned about where the Garden of Eden was, right? We learned that the Tower of Babel is what pushed everybody to different parts of the world. We learned that we're going to be learning about Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, ancient China, the Aztec world from Mexico, and Egypt too, right? We learned that civilizations need what? Civilizations need to be close to the water so they can have food, so they can have transportation, so they can intercambiar, so they can have their basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing. Shelter meaning refugio, protección, a house or something like that, right? They have their own government, their own laws, their own culture of art and music and architecture, their own system of writing, okay? All those things are what civilizations have, and their own religion as well. So look what it says over there. Don't forget to color your title page today. And the map of your, where's my map? Of where your ancient civilizations are. And in your map, it says right there, like Miss Jessica was ignoring, that the Aztecs live right there. Okay, they were from Mexico. Have a great day. Enjoy your first day of history class. Love you guys.